22 states that have these restrictions with these waivers that have been granted, basically restricting access to a lot of different food items across the country, sugary drinks, sugary food items, maybe soda, pop, carbonated beverages, the list goes on, depending on which state you're located in. Now we have 22 states with likely more to come later on this year in 2026. And again, I want to share with you the details in this video of this pending lawsuit that is out there against USDA from individuals within these respective states. Now, I have this article right here. Actually, let's pop it up right here, right now. Put this article up on the screen. Feel free to read through the details on this. Let's talk through what this lawsuit is alleging and some of the actions that may be taken out of this. Now, if you've been watching the videos here on the channel for a while now, in 2025, we had 18 waivers that were granted to 18 different states, okay? Now, these 18 states in 2025 were basically restricting the purchase of all kinds of different foods, candies, carbonated beverages, energy drinks, soda, pop, basically anything that had sugar in it, right? Depending on the state in which somebody was located, these waivers were basically restricting the purchase of all these different items. And again, I've been saying for many, many months now, this is going to cause a ton of chaos. There's going to be lawsuits. And I've been saying this is going to cause a lot of issues at the checkout counter. Well, that's literally what they're talking about here in this article. Well, then just a couple weeks ago in 2026, we got 4 more states that were granted waivers. In fact, I was recently out in a separate video talking about those 4 additional states that had those waivers granted. So now we have 22 total states that have these restrictive waivers granted from USDA to these specific states, 22 of them. And again, I talked about them just the other day in a separate video where they have these restrictions. Basically this, USDA giving these states basically the okay to restrict the purchase of all these different food items. And again, it's different depending on which state. It's very, very confusing with all the different restrictions that are out there. Anyway, long story short, this lawsuit was filed in a Washington, D.C. federal court, basically alleging destabilization of food assistance or food availability, food access for these individuals within these 22 states, saying, we need different food items, and we've got people out there with all kinds of different dietary restrictions and different dietary needs and things like this. And unfortunately, because of some of these restrictions, these individuals are not able to purchase these necessary food items that they need for their specific situation. And again, the list goes on and on. People have all kinds of different needs on a dietary basis. I think we all recognize that, right? We're all different. Therefore, we need something different for our dietary needs. Well, unfortunately, because of the restrictions, some of these individuals are not able to access those necessary food items and therefore putting themselves in a very, difficult health situation because of this, right? And that's exactly what this lawsuit is alleging. So, as of right now, the waivers within those 22 states are still active. They're still there. However, I've been talking about this for many, many months now. I've been saying because of these waivers, we're going to see lawsuits, we're going to see confusion, we're going to see a lot of chaos around this. And that's exactly what we are seeing and also highlighted here in this article. So point being is that we may see, and again, I'm not promising anything. I'm not promising anything at all. I don't know what's going to happen here, but because of these lawsuits, this is just the first major one that we're seeing being filed within a Washington, D.C. federal court, but I would imagine there's going to be many, many, many more to come with this, and we may potentially see these waivers potentially rolled back and backtracked at some point. In the, maybe throughout this year. Again, we don't know what's going to happen here, but if this is truly destabilizing food access for these individuals, that would be grounds to basically say this must be repealed. And I wouldn't be shocked at all, just like we saw back in 2025 during the government shutdown. And when basically the food stamp benefits went unpaid, I should say, right? There was this lapse in benefits in the first half of November. And the Supreme Court stepped in and got involved. I would not be shocked one bit if we see the Supreme Court get involved with this situation as well and order the USDA to repeal those 22 waivers across those states restricting that food access. Okay, so this is going to be very interesting to see play out. I'm going to say this much. I'm surprised it has taken this long to see these lawsuits being filed. I thought this would have been done months and months ago, especially as we saw some of these states, implementing these waivers and things like that. But the more states that are rolling on, the more people that are being impacted by this. Again, millions and millions of people that are being impacted across the country. And the more people impacted, the higher likelihood that the Supreme Court is likely going to get involved at some point and order USDA to repeal and basically roll back these 22 waivers across these states restricting purchase of these items. Okay, so wouldn't be shocked to see that. It's going to be a slow process, but if you're in one of the 22 states I recently talked about in that separate video that's having this happen, well, we may have some luck here. We may have some relief coming here. Okay, so anyway, I know this has been a very, very chaotic situation. By the way, if you are in one of those 22 states, I would love to hear from you. I've been asking about this, and I've been seeing many comments over the last, 5-6 months or so. I've seen some comments rolling out down below in the comment section across some videos here on the channel where people have reached out and shared their stories of what they've experienced personally or what they've personally seen happening at the checkout counters as they're at their local grocery stores making those purchases and getting those restrictions coming in, saying, hey, sorry, the checkout police have arrived and they're saying, sorry, you can't buy this bottle of juice or this case of diet soda or whatever it happens to be. It's nuts, right? And again, depending on which state you're located in, the rules, the restrictions are going to be a little bit different, which is making it very, very, very confusing